recapping another busy week of prep sports. It's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here on High School Sports Talk with the coach, Ed Young. Matt Hatfield here with you on ESPN Radio 94.1. And Ed, we got a special guest on the line. His ladies 2 wins away from a state championship and a place in immortality in its school's history over there in Chesapeake. The Deep Creek Lady Hornets, a winner last night over Monacan, 67-54 in the quarterfinal round to move to 24-2 overall. Jaden Johnson with 21 points, 6 rebounds. Maya Thomas adding 16 points and 5 assists as they closed the game on a 16-6 run to set up a state semifinal date with Lake Taylor. We say good morning and congrats to Coach Kip Sutton. Coach, how's it feel the morning after a state tournament victory?
How y'all doing this morning?
Doing well.
Pretty exhausted. We're not used to playing this late in the year, and I'm feeling the brunt of it this morning. Definitely excited, but it's definitely different when you're actually going through it.
Ed Young here, and congrats so far to this point. And now what's interesting is you get Lake Taylor, another meeting. You're very familiar with them, and I know your kids are not going to back down and be intimidated like a lot of other teams. What's it like now in terms of state situation where a lot of people are playing they've never seen, people they've never seen, got to get a lot of tape. But for you, that's not necessary. What's that feeling like?
Well, playing, Lake Taylor the last 2 years, they knocked us out of the regional semifinals at their place to go to the state, and we are familiar with them. We did get a chance to play them on Friday for the regional championship, and ended up losing by 13. But I thought our girls, stood tall, and it is different when you playing somebody else that you know. But I am familiar with their team, and I don't know. We got to see how it goes. Unfamiliar territory right now.
Well, they've got a player that's dealing with an injury in Janiyah Quinley, the sophomore standout, figures to be an all-Tidewater, all-state performer. Correct me if I'm wrong, you've had a couple of key players that signed, one of which out with an injury in Adriana Ship of Longwood, correct? She's still out for you?
Yeah, Adriana Ship, she's a senior. She tore ACL in Game 5 against Indian River. Okay. She actually did it in the pregame warm-ups, just a freak accident. But she is already committed to Longwood as far as going D1, and this just makes this year even special because she really worked hard to get to this point, and she don't get the experience on the court, but we definitely want to do it for her. And also we got Maya Thomas, who's signed to University of Maryland Eastern Shore. These girls committed before the season started, and just on the injury aspect, prayers go out to Quinley. She's a phenomenal player, and I hope she gets healthy. And but we dealt with it when Ship got hurt, and that's the one thing that I'm really proud about. This team this year, we really adjusted to somebody who we was looking for about 17 to 18 points this year. And this whole team has just stepped up collectively. And I'm pretty sure Lake Taylor's going to adjust as well.
I was getting to it. I misspoke when I said of Longwood. She's going along with an Adriana Ship. Maya Thomas, as you mentioned, going to Maryland Eastern Shore as well. But without Ship, it feels like Jaden Johnson has really raised her game. Was that something you had spoke with her, or has it just come naturally for her that she's evolved into the player she's been for you here lately?
Well, it's really not even been lately. She started for me as a freshman last year. We went over to Lake Taylor and we lost last year. I thought she really spread her wings when Lake Taylor really. When they knocked us out, she really stepped up in that game. I can't remember the exact points, but I know it was a hostile environment, and she actually just showed a lot of resilience, and she had over 20 points that game when they ran a box and one on Maya. So I think she has definitely evolved even more. These girls, when they play together, it's really hard to defend us because they both are such equal threats, and that backcourt for me has been probably the best thing for us. So not only has Jada stepped up, this year and been the player that I knew she was going to be, but it's other people that has really helped and contributed that it don't show up in the stat sheet what these girls do for this team. Talking to just want to say their names: Tia Banks and Kiara Shepard and Jada Richardson, and I want to say the whole team, our second team, all conference player, Shakira Perry, been big all year, and I'm not trying to slight anybody without naming the whole team, but everybody has picked up the slack when Adriana went down, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
We're chatting with Deep Creek head girls basketball coach Kip Sutton. His ladies victorious last night over Monacan, 67-54 in the quarterfinals, and they'll move on to the state semifinals coming up on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. We understand that'll be at Churchland High School, part of a double dip. The Deep Creek girls playing the Lake Taylor girls at 6, and the Lake Taylor boys taking on Louisa following that. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. A fine season, Ed, for Deep Creek at 24-2, and they're not done yet.
No, Coach, you kind of read my mind. I was going to ask you, when you have a great season like this, we kind of know the top players, and you mentioned some of them. And I was going to ask you, who is that one person, not getting a lot of ink, but the coaching staff knows that this girl has to get a lot of credit for that. And you said about, you don't want to slight anybody without mentioning your team. Of course, Coach, you could talk about anybody you want to.
Yeah, and it's hard when Coach, you put me in these situations because I appreciate everybody, but it is two girls that I really want to just say something about. It's a girl named Bella Dunn. She's been with me for 4 years, been with the program. Her sister played for me, and she don't pass the look test, but she never gets rattled. She'll hit the big three when we need to. I'm starting 3 sophomores, but when she come off the bench, she really brings a sense of calmness to the situation. And you won't never see her name on any all-region team or anything like that, but she has really been the for our team in those tough situations when we she's in the game at the end when we got to make critical decisions. I'm very proud of her. And there's another girl, Tia Banks. She was projected when she was in the 8th and 9th grade. She was one of the better 8th graders around here. She had ACL tear, didn't want to play basketball anymore, and she came back last year, and she's just been a big help. And when Adriana went out, she was one of the ones that's really come in and rebound for us and play smart. And like I said, Coach, I don't mean to not slight anybody, but those two girls right there, not only first class basketball players, but first class individuals as well.
Coach, also you mentioned a little bit earlier, you're not used to getting this deep and playing, and it is a great experience. But as somebody that hasn't seen your team, how would you explain to them what your identity is and how you got to this point?
Yeah, when we walk on the court, we don't pass the look test. I just noticed it last night when Maya went up they talked to the captains, and their guards they had 3 people up there. Maya walked up there by herself, and they looked at her, and the look was like, this Maya Thomas, she 5'3", and they looked at her, and they might even smirked a little bit, but she's used to being doubted, by a lot of people, and I just think that our identity, just as a whole, we want to be aggressive and we want to play fast and in transition. We do have multiple guards that can handle the ball. Haven't really been bothered too much by pressure. Lake Teller probably gave us, the most pressure when we played them last Friday, but I thought we handled that, well. But the one thing about this group, they've been together for a long time. Past, I've been on this show and talked about how young we were, and this year that senior leadership is really, paying off for us, and it's helping those sophomores that's playing a lot of minutes as well. So hopefully they will say our defense and how our guard play, really impacts the game.
Get you out on this one, Coach. Thank you for the time. I wish you all the best coming up on Tuesday night against Lake Taylor, as one of the 757 girls basketball teams will be punching its ticket to the state championship in Class 4 coming up on Thursday at 6 o'clock against either Pulaski County and Carroll County. And this is not meant in any slight towards either of those schools. And I know we had this conversation last year, I believe, with Mo Fafana of Kings Fork after their quarterfinal win, setting up a matchup in the semis with Lake Taylor. And, of course, Millbrook went on to win and be the undefeated team as state champs. But how do you view this setup we have now where A plays B in both the quarters and semis? As a coach, would you like to see that changed where you're on opposite sides of the brackets where the possibility could exist that you play in a state championship? What's your opinion on that?
Matt, at first they were, switching it every year, which I thought that was a good thing. I thought that was the fairest thing, but then they seem to keep us all on one side. It's honestly, people say it's fair, not fair. I just know for me and myself in my situation and playing Lake Taylor again, Lake Taylor's the best in our region, and whether we play them in the states or the semis, it's going to go through them. Not slighting anybody else, but even last year it showed that when they was in the same situation, Lake Taylor, played and then they lost, I think, to Millbrook. So it's no slight to the other side. I don't know if they got it right or wrong, but I'm telling my girls and everybody that's in my camp that we got to go out, and play the best. We've tried to do that all year and to prepare us for this moment, no matter how it's set up. And we just blessed to be here, Matt.
Well, it should be an entertaining battle nonetheless, as either Deep Creek or Lake Taylor's girls will be moving on to the state championship coming up on Thursday. You can watch them go head-to-head on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Tickets $10 over at Churchland High School, part of a double dip with the Lake Taylor boys following up against Louisa. Coach, we thank you so much for the time this morning on the show. Congrats on the season so far, and best of luck on Tuesday night, all right?
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it.
All right, Kip, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Kip Sutton, head girls basketball coach at Deep Creek High School in Chesapeake, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Doing big things over there at Deep Creek, Ed, 24-2 on the season, knocking out Monacan, a past, 3-time state champ, I think they are.
Great program.
And now they have another great program to battle in Lake Taylor. So,
but that familiarity is going to help them. They're not going to be, awestruck like some other teams, like when a lot of teams play Princess Anne.
Sure.
Girls. It's like, oh, boy, we got to play. I don't think Deep Creek will have that feeling.
The last time the Maury boys won a state championship, when was it? Do you know, Ed? Do you know, Thomas? The last time Maury boys won a state championship. Neither one of you was born.
Should get Matt Stenberg in here. He
might know. He's a Maury grad.
That's his school.
Do you have a guess, Ed? Or let me just tell you.
1940.
You're close. 1927.
Whoa.
27?
1927. They've been to the Final Four round 14 times now since then, and never won the championship.
1927.
Brendan Plummer's going to try to bring them a championship. They're 2 wins away. They play Verona Monday night at Norview, and Coach Plummer's our guest next right here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Don't go anywhere. It's your home for sports. ESPN Radio 94.1.